A little bit.
Last week was nice.
Go on. You are unmuted, folks. Thank you. You ready? Not quite. Okay. That's a few seconds ahead now. Okay. All right. Whenever you're ready. Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock tonight on April 14th. If you'll all stand so that we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Clerk, would you call the roll for me, please?
Smith,
Here.
Wolfale,
Here.
Green,
Here.
Bergerson, here, Arsano, absent, Burbank, here.
Okay.
Did I miss anybody? Nope.
I'll ask for a motion in a sec to excuse council members. Not present.
Just, yeah.
Motion to excuse Councilmember Arsano.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Agenda modifications. Do council have any additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda as presented?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye. Motion carries.
Announcements. Let's move on to swearing in of Officer Hallenbeck. You want to do it down there or up there?
You can do it now, wherever you'd like, man. It's up to you. Good evening, council. Mayor's going to swear in Jeff Hallenbeck. He's our newest officer, came to us from Kent PD. Remember all this?
No, I told him we'd go slow. Okay, I
I,
state your name,
Jeff Hallenbeck,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
the Constitution and the state of Washington,
and
and laws of the state of Washington,
thank you, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Buckley, Washington,
and the laws and ordinances of the city of Buckley, Washington,
and that I will abide by the mission, vision, and values
and that I will abide by the mission, vision, and values
of the Buckley Police Department.
of the Buckley Police Department.
I will to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability,
I will, to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability,
truly, faithfully, diligently, and impartially
truly, faithfully, diligently, and impartially
perform the duties of the position of police officer
perform the duties of the position of police officer
in and for the city of Buckley,
in and for the city of Buckley,
Pierce County, Washington,
Pierce County, Washington,
as such duties are prescribed by law.
as such duties are prescribed by law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Do I gotta get, you need a couple more? Yeah.
Oh.
Good, yeah. Well, he took one angle, I took the other. That's good, right there. Go back now. Perfect.
Okay. I know that.
As long as I bring my.
Because they will be.
Thanks, sir.
All right, let's move on to our legislative update. I'm going to call on Representative Josh Penner to step up for us for a few minutes.
How are you doing, Mayor?
Good. And you?
I'm well. Mayor Harding and members of the Buckley City Council, it's good to be back here. Now that your wonderful police force has stepped out, I have a short little anecdote to tell you. I'm not going to go in detail, but your mayor already knows it because as I was driving through your beautiful city the other day, I was chatting with the mayor, getting my windshield time in where I like to talk with the constituent mayors, and you know, the lights lit up behind me, and sure enough, my tabs are expired. I broke the law. And so I laughed with your mayor about it. I really appreciate it. Your police force is fine. They were wonderful. I got the citation and you have a couple $100 coming to your general fund. So that's my gift to you. You know, I could have paid it into the RTA and then who knows who would have gotten the money. This way, the money goes directly into your general fund and supplements the city. Anyways, my name is Josh Penner, Representative Josh Penner, one of the 2 representatives for the 31st district here. And I just want to show up, give you a legislative update. A lot of stuff happened in this short legislative session. Some of you were here last year. You may recall my son, Matthew, who's now taller than me and 100 pounds heavier than me, wandered all around the room as we talked about the Rainier School conversation. That's part of the legislative update. But broadly speaking, in the Washington State Legislature, we have 2 sessions, a biennial legislature. So you have 1 year, you have 105 days, the second year, 60 days. In the first year, you pass the large budget, and the second year, you pass the supplemental budget. But fundamentally, there's not much difference between the years. It's just how many days you have to do the same amount of work. And this year was one of those short years where we did the same amount of work in less days. And so it's quite a squeeze. And I'll brief you a little bit on the legislative session, what came out of the legislative session that is relevant to cities, and then talk about what is coming forward and the stuff that I look forward to working with Buckley, the mayor, and the council and staff on in the upcoming year. Now, I think the thing that's on top of everybody's mind this legislative session, the thing that I've heard the most is about Washington's income tax, which you were probably all aware of in some form. I'm not here to advocate one way or the other for it. I think you can see very well where I'm at on that issue regarding income tax, but the thing that cities are going to want to be aware of in Buckley in particular, and your mayor's been great at having these discussions with me already, is Washington State will not see revenue from the income tax for another three-ish years. But when it does, one of the big questions is, will there be some sort of, in the next 2 or 3 years, commensurate offset of sales tax? And why that's relevant is that cities like Buckley and the constituent cities here in the 31st, of course, rely on sales tax for a good portion of your general fund budget. And so there is no fix for that at this point. That'll be something that'll certainly be part of debate in the upcoming years, depending on the legality of the income tax as it's been presented. And so something I want to make sure that everybody in here as a council member, and of course the mayor and staff are aware of, and those watching on TV, is that there are unaddressed questions as far as where revenue goes to cities and how you pay for general fund services like excellent police officers and everything else that a city does that still need to be addressed. Let's see, bring in this closer to home. During this legislative session, we had quite a bit of conversation around transportation funding. The way that that's relevant is, of course, I think everyone here is aware of the White River Bridge situation, which was solved through an emergency declaration to some degree. The long-term solution there is, of course, something that is going to take quite a while and some effort, probably multi-jurisdictional effort. Hopefully that bridge doesn't run into another situation in the future. The Fairfax Bridge, of course, that is another 10, 15-year challenge, we'll say. And so some planning money was invested to start that process moving forward. And then we already know 410, 167, 162, and the state highways all along the corridor to get to Buckley, and really a large portion of our district here need a lot of attention and planning money. And that kind of bridges my next point is I know that the 410 corridor study that you guys have been working on updating since 2019, that's about to come to completion. And I think talking with the mayor, some of the things that are going to come out of that are probably pretty obvious. I can't predict anything. I'm not close to the study and directing the study, but as you start to see some of the results that you're going to see probably around roundabouts and a number of other issues, your next question is going to be around planning and funding. And that's something I think I'd like to stay close to the council and the mayor and staff in making sure that we align interests as far as capital and transportation funding requests in the next year. And so that's something that the cities of East Pierce County have started to get together on. And instead of working with councils to hear what your legislative agenda is in November, December, I'd really like to be engaged throughout the year. And that's what we're doing. And the first meeting of those cities occurred last week or 2 weeks ago here at Buckley's new renovated, new old city hall. And so that was good to see the communities come together. My vision there is that we're stronger together in East Pierce County, and I believe the mayors there feel the same way. And to the extent that we can all work together to make these transportation requests and capital requests, I think you'll see at least the amount of money you send to the state, some of that come back. I still don't fundamentally believe the amount of money that the residents in Buckley and in the greater community of Buckley send to the state come back, but it's my goal as a legislator to make sure that that money comes back to you as much as can in whatever form it can, whether it's whether your tax money back directly or at least in public facilities that make this a great place to continue to live and work. Let's see, a theme of this legislative session and of the last couple sessions is this weird duality of a loss of local control. So loss of local control in your ability to create long-term plans around zoning, planning, and those sorts of things. So I'm not sure if that's filtered its way down yet through law. It probably won't until at least June, and then there's got to be rulemaking and stuff. But there's just this continued erosion of local control, and that kind of takes away from the voters of Buckley and the constituencies. Of course, we can make all the plans we want for how Washington should look in Olympia, but we don't live in every city. And I come from a city, as far as you know, or as far as you may remember, I was the mayor of Ording up until they had nude people walking through their council meetings. Then I wasn't the mayor anymore. So I don't know if you guys saw that recently. But that's a joke. The point is that I strongly believe in the local decision making is where the best decision making happens. You live here to the extent that you can plan your communities. That's really important, and that's something I've always felt was important, regardless of my position. That's why I ran for mayor when I ran for mayor, and that's why I'm in office as your representative as long as you'll have me. So the duality here, the kind of paradox here is there's this erosion of lack of control, but there is opportunities also through the budget that came forward for communities, and it may be relevant for some of your decisions around public safety, as well as long-term budget planning regarding levy lid lifts and some taxation, let's just say revenue and revenue expense options. So there was a little bit of an opportunity given to communities to tailor their tax code a little bit. But as you can see with the income tax, there's a lot of conversation that has to happen locally, and a lot of education of legislators. So continued engagement with your legislators is really important for that reason. As you know, I was out here last year because of the Rainier School closure idea. I'm of course against it in every manifestation of the conversation. This year, I tried to work to move forward some policy that would create opportunities for disabled residents in our communities to be able to access dental care at a place like Rainier School using whatever unused seat time they had. And it made it through both chambers and out through the budget. Unfortunately, it's vetoed by our governor. So there's a continued push to make it hard to operate facilities like that and provide care for our state's most disabled residents. And I know that's something that's very near and dear to Buckley, and that's clearly something that I'm going to continue fighting. And I believe that at least in the legislature, that's something that is agreeable, some of those basic standards of care. And so I think that's something that we might be able to move into law in the next couple of years. And I think that's a snapshot of what occurred this legislative session. I sat on multiple committees, 4 different committees, and a lot of other things. So there's probably things I'm forgetting. The point here is to be here, give a brief on what happened in 60 very eventful days, and answer any questions if you have them.
Questions? Councilmember Green?
I have a couple questions. One, did you renew your tabs yet? And, or do we expect another donation? You don't have to answer that.
No comment. I'll just say there are some communities live in the RTA that don't receive any benefit for it. And you have to make a long-term calculation on what the best cost is for your own personal budget.
Okay. Second question is, in regards to like that erosion of local control, that's kind of a trend we've been seeing for at least a few legislative sessions now. And I know there's a lot of pushback from cities, not just like little small red cities, but all cities, everywhere,
Yeah.
to their representation on both sides of the aisle. What's the dialogue like at Olympia? Like, is any of that coming through, or is it just full steam ahead?
Cities generally have a pretty strong voice in Olympia. I was on the board of directors at Association Washington Cities for a number of years, and they do a pretty good job of trying to find a balance. In Washington State, there's 281 cities, and not every single city looks like Ording or Buckley. And so trying to get the voices of all those cities to have kind of a generalized message that everyone can agree on is very difficult. And so broadly speaking, the cities agree on the idea that cities exist for a reason and local control is important. Where cities kind of diverge on ideas, that's where the group voice of cities doesn't come through because there's no group consensus. I think one of the challenges in the legislature is that I don't think there's enough legislative voices that are informed by having been on city councils for more than 6 months. Oftentimes legislator will move into a city council and maybe they were already moving into legislature. And so there was a kind of path. And so I think sometimes a lot of the decisions aren't really informed through, 4 years or 8 years on a city council, which is sometimes what it takes to understand things like the Growth Management Act and how that interacts with your capital facilities plan and transportation master plan and these things that are a little bit more than what you can learn in 6 months. And that's not an insult for anyone who's been around 6 months. It just takes a while to marinate in the job and understand all the different pieces. And so that's what I see in Olympia is you've got a group of people that know cities very well. And then you got a little bit bigger group of people who at least have some idea of cities, but don't really have a lot of knowledge. And then I think the majority of the folks in Olympia, all they know is what they're told generally about cities, because there's just more to know than what you can know. And you got to focus in your zone of genius. And so what's important is that I think that you engage with your cities. You engage, if you believe in AWC, you go to AWC, or at least you talk to your peers and whatever chance you get. And find areas of alignment and figure out ways to communicate with myself and other legislators on the things that you believe and why it's important. And so it's a long answer for a short question. Yeah.
Councilmember Smith.
Representative Penner and tailgating off of Councilmember Green, asking what it was like on that topic. Local control is what we're talking about. I'd like to know what the discussion was about the being able to get rid of elective sheriffs. I have my personal opinion. I used to ride in a patrol car with Pierce County Sheriff Swank, and I believe it was focused directly on him. And so I'm not asking you to get into the weeds, just maybe a level of what the discussion was around that bill.
Well, you have the areas that you focus on, and my areas are appropriations, finance, early learning, human services, and technology, economic development, and veterans. And so the fundamental policy didn't come through any of my committees. So I didn't have any in-depth conversation. Now, I of course come from local government. I've got strong opinions on the idea of public safety and how that manifests. Police chiefs are typically appointed by mayors or councils or whatever city does it. I know where I was at on that vote. I was absolutely against the idea of removing a sheriff through the CJTC process, which is, I think, the indirect way of getting to what you're talking about. The bill as passed, and I voted no, does not eliminate elected sheriffs. The bill creates a series of requirements for anybody appointed sheriff that I think are foolish requirements. And it creates a process through the CJTC that politicizes the Criminal Justice Training Commission. It massively politicizes the CJTC. And so I think what you'll see is potentially the weaponization of that. Now, that's my personal opinion. That's why I voted no on that one. And I do believe personally that the conversation in Pierce County was a critical part of that debate. And I suspect Pierce County, the voters of Pierce County and in Buckley in particular, through the charter commission process that is occurring right now, are going to see a charter amendment, a Pierce County charter amendment on whether or not to have an elected or appointed sheriff in November. And that'll be their opportunity to weigh in on it. And so I'm not going to use the dais here to do campaigning on one issue or another. I'll explain my votes in the past, but on that issue, I voted no because I do believe it's an attack on elected sheriffs, and I believe in the idea of elected sheriffs.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you, Representative Penner.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on this section of the agenda, we're going to move to the EROW presentation. Here they come.
Here we come. Thank you, Mayor and council members. Just want to thank you for the opportunity for being on your agenda this evening. I won't be that much, well, we won't take up a whole bunch of time. For starters, I'm starving and I want to go eat a burger because the burger joint down the street is supposed to be really good. My name is Chantel. I work for Evergreen Rural Water. We are a non-for-profit association that support water and wastewater utilities across pretty much North America. But here in the state of Washington, we fall under Evergreen Rural Water. I run the apprenticeship program. I'm the apprenticeship coordinator for them. And Caden Baker, which is one of your wastewater employees, is one of our graduates from our program. So we wanted to come here, or I wanted to come here and just be proud of his accomplishments and just show that it wouldn't have happened without your guys' support. We were able to have a really good partnership with you guys where you took advantage of our reimbursement program, our wage reimbursement program that was funded through Department of Labor. But yeah, so Caden finished the 4,000 hours of on-the-job training hours from Mr. Jim Doty at the back. And then he also completed 288, actually he completed 296, but overachiever, 288 hours of classroom training. So we're just here to present him with his plaque from Labor and Industries and his letter and the card that goes along with it. So. Thank you so much for your time. Stand up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice job, Caden.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to public comment. City clerk advises me we do not have anyone that chose to sign in tonight for public comment. However, if at some point you decide you would like to do public comment, you will be addressing the council and the mayor, and they will not engage with you, but will take notes and we will follow up if appropriate. There will be another opportunity to address the council at the end of the meeting. And then if specifically you're here tonight to speak related to the hearing on the local roads, we will do that separately. So I will call you up if that is specifically while you're here. So if there's anybody at this time that wants to speak, okay. Moving on, let's go with committee reports. So the mayor's report is, speaking of AWC, I'm going to attend the labor management class being offered over in Wenatchee for 3 days in May. And I also related to Sheriff Swank. He will be at the Pierce County Library this Saturday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. He's been doing that all over the county, just kind of meet and greets and discussions. So everyone that is welcome to attend.
This library?
Yes, sir. Let's see, let's move on to Admin Finance Public Safety Committee, Councilmember Smith.
We met yesterday and your first topic is going to be the event applications that have come in since the last time we had this briefing. Log Show Carnival, every year we have it out on the Greenway. Buckley Kiwanis, 26th to the 28th, the parade, Chamber of Commerce puts that on, 27th Saturday, vendor fair along River Avenue, Chamber of Commerce, 27th. Dirtbag Cornhole Tournament. I think that's funny, dirtbag. It's a bag of dirt that they throw. I think it's great. Docs is putting that on the 25th of July. Car Show, Buckley Downtown Association, the 15th. And Bags for Buildings by Buckley Downtown Association. I assume that's another cornhole tournament.
Yes.
August 29th. Chief Alfano, in combination with the mayor, have given 2 conditional offers of employment for entry-level police officers, meaning they will have to go to the academy. A lot more time than I had to go through. I think they have 720 hours and other stuff. So we will see how that goes. Hopefully that's successful. Hiring application has been received for 2 open utility worker positions internally. And that's going to have to see if they meet the qualifications for the position. If not, it'll have to go outside. And applications will soon be coming in for seasonal parks and recreation positions. And isn't it true, our city administrator Banks, that that is how you started your employment at the city?
If that is true.
That is outstanding. See, the opportunities are outstanding. That is outstanding.
Back in 1992.
That is outstanding. All right. Interlocal agreement with the city of Orning for city clerk services. It's on tonight's agenda. I will let that speak for itself. IT said, we talked about this before. Laserfiche, meaning scanning everything, every paper document into an electronic record, has soft launched at the Buckley Municipal Court and Public Works. There's going to be some training put out for for the entire city staff, and then it's going to roll out in other city departments. Ms. Cash had nothing for the municipal court. Chief Alfano went over enforcement update on e-bikes, e-motorcycles on tonight's agenda. Fire department, Chief Scogan advised that background checks have been done for all the applicants. Internal applicants, i.e. volunteer firefighters with Buckley for the firefighter rover position. They're going to go through that, and then there'll be a conditional offer that will seal up our full-time positions at the fire department. And finally, Finance Director Hines advised that we're going to see as a council the first quarter 2026 financial dashboard information coming forth soon, and that she and her staff are working through the conversion of the existing finance system into Springbook that my colleague here may not be familiar with, but the rest of us approved in prior years to transition to Springbrook.
Thank you. Okay, Planning Commission, Councilmember Wolfville.
Yeah, so the planning commission met Monday, the sixth. The topic of the agenda has been consistent for the last two meetings, and that is the Rainier Gateway District and the development that's going to go into that. With any of these big agendas, a lot of the early conversations are around setbacks and what kind of limitations we have in that area specifically. You're talking about the trail, the parking lots, the main water supply line that runs next to 410. How much space do we have, and what all are we willing to do with it? Also about the memorial, the pump track. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we have multiple conversations going around that, but it's still in the very early stages. So that's really what our agenda has been for the last two meetings, and will be for at least a couple more, I think. Chris. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda.
On tonight's consent agenda is final acceptance of the City Hall addition and modernization project, approval of the minutes of the December 9th, 2025 City Council meeting, approval of the minutes of the January 27th, 2026 City Council meeting, February 3rd, 2026 City Council study session, and February 24th, 2026 City Council meeting.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, so now we are moving on to the public hearing on local road safety plan and city sidewalk ADA transition plan. So I am going to recess the official council meeting at 6:31 and enter the public hearing. And city engineer, Mr. Miller, would you like to come up to the podium? Okay.
So the subject of the public hearing is the one that we had the prior study session about. The local road safety plan, which we went through. And then kind of an adjunct with that, which was an appendix of the plan, is the sidewalk and ADA transition plan, where that has a focus on safety as well, safety specifically of pedestrians and meeting the Americans with Disabilities Act requirements. And I can answer any questions you have before the actual public gets up, but notwithstanding that, that's what I got.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Okay.
So is there anyone from the public that would like to come up and speak at the public hearing related to local roads and safety? Mr. Sundstrom.
Yes, Marv Sundstrom, I'm a resident, and I was unaware of it, so it's hard to speak to the subject. I guess I should have researched a little better, but we do a poor job with ADA stuff in Buckley. The door here is always inoperable for seniors to get into the senior center. We built a new city hall, and it doesn't even have a button to get in there for seniors. No ADA door, but we have a ramp. I've asked for, well, I'll get that in public comment, but that's my comments.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to comment on the public hearing for local roads? Council, any questions? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead then and close the public hearing at 6:33 and reconvene the city council meeting. So let's move on to ordinances.
The first ordinance is ordinance number 03-26, amending Buckley Municipal Code 2.33.0203 Planning Commission terms.
I'll entertain a motion and a second.
Move to approve ordinance number 3-26, removing the BMC 2.33.0203 requirement that planning commission terms be staggered so that new appointees can serve full terms and setting an effective date.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I would also like to note that Senior Planner Farnsworth is here to answer any questions that any of you have related to this topic. Seeing none. Okay. Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Wolfville,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Bergerson,
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is ordinance number 04-26, amending the 2026 city employee salary scale.
Move to approve ordinance number 04-26, amending the 2026 city employee salary scale.
Second.
Brendan Green, it's been moved and seconded. City Administrator Banks on this topic is available to answer any questions. Seeing none. Okay, clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Wolfville,
Aye.
Burbank,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Bergerson,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Moving on to new business, there's a professional services agreement on the South Prairie Pipe Bridge repair.
Move to approve the engineering and services proposal for the repair of the South Prairie Pipe Bridge.
Second.
It's okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Councilmember Banks and City Engineer are here. Boy, you're getting off easy. Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Moving on, bid award for the Spruce Street Improvement Project.
Move to award bid of Spruce Street Improvements Project to Strickland and Sons Excavation LLC for the price of, $1,342,848.25.
Second.
Okay. All right. City Engineer Miller, anything you would like to say?
This job has been in the works for quite a while. It's finally going to go to construction. So the good news is that we had a competitive bid, we believe. The price came in under the engineer's estimate, which is always good. So I don't have to go build the project, of which I've built 0 projects over the years.
Duly noted.
But I have been low on my estimate before. And so one of the items that had kind of served to delay the projects is the acquisition of easements that was required. We had, I believe, 9 properties along the west side that we needed permanent easements from. So we've secured most of those. There's some coordination efforts, but the plan is to get under construction, hopefully beginning in May and get done early fall. There's a split, just the funding of this project. There's the 102 fund for the road part. There's the 405 fund for the water part. I'm sorry, the sewer, 406 for water, 408 for storm. So it's a combo project. There's even a gas main relocation that we have to, PSC's got to move a gas line. So this is actually a pretty critical link in terms of the school kids where they walk, where they're coming out of Perkins Prairie and trying to get over to the schools. And it does include a RRFB. The mayor knows that means rectangular rapid flashing beacon. Across Main Street at the little S there where Main turns into Collins, there will be a crosswalk with the flashing there. So that will improve the safety consistent with our local road safety plan and ADA and sidewalk transition plan. So That is what I know about that. So the recommendation is to award the project to Strickland and Sons.
Anything else from council?
I just have one question.
Okay.
On their mandatory bidder responsibility checklist, under Employment Security Department number, is that not something that we need? Because they didn't answer that one. Is there anything that's necessary?
I don't believe so, no.
Is that just?
Yeah, we're typically able to.
Yeah.
Unemployment or something?
Yeah, we're typically able to look that up on the LNI website with
Okay.
with
Okay.
their.
I just wondered,
information.
everything else was checked, so I was just,
Yeah, no.
I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah, it's compliant on what we checked on their background for it. Yes,
We want the fellows to work. We don't want them to be unfulfilled, so.
absolutely.
Good catch, Councilman Ferguson. That everything? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. So all those in favor?
Motion carries.
Okay, stay there, Mr. Miller. Engineering Services Proposal for Construction Management for Spruce Street Improvement Projects.
Move to approve the engineering service proposal for construction management of the Spruce Street Improvements Project.
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Anything you'd like to add?
This is the construction management and inspection. Inspection is the bulk of that, but it is to help assist the city in managing the construction phase of the project. There is similar to the award of the construction. There's a split among 4 funds associated with what the city has budgeted for the respective funds, and that money has been budgeted in this case, and now the name of the game is to try to bring it in on budget, to reduce any changes during the construction phase, communicate with city staff, because there are impacts to utilities, with the cutover of the water, bypassing of the sewer, and coordinating with the various property owners along the corridor, because we have signed easements, there's still a coordination phase. People have to get in and out of their driveways. People like to have water. So all those fun things in the construction phase, we are tasked to do, and that's what our plan is.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye. Motion carries.
Last one, interlocal agreement with the city of Ording to provide city clerk services.
Move to approve the interlocal agreement pardon me, between the city of Ording and the city of Buckley for temporary clerk services.
Second.
All right, and city clerk, Zumek is here, and yes, Councilmember Green.
Yeah, the last part of the travel time fee, based on 42 miles round trip to Ording. That's switched 24, I believe, by Google Map. Okay,
This
pull up it.
contract came from Ording. This is not our contract. We would have to talk to them. Yeah, this came from them. They've already,
We'll look into that. Well, I think
Yeah.
you're right. I think it's a.
They've already,
First.
Yeah.
they've already, their council has already adopted the contract as written.
Oh.
I have a signed copy.
It would be quicker if I ask Councilmember Green, does it say travel up to 42 miles?
This
It
is
just has a set amount for any time I travel to Ording.
Okay, all right. Well, we can certainly consult with them on that, because as city clerk mentioned, this is something that their city attorney prepared, their council voted on, and then sent to us for approval. So there's been a motion and a
Councilmember Smith.
second, Councilmember Smith.
Since this was sent to us from the Oregon City Council and their municipality had approved this, we're approving this so that our city clerk can work there. If they discover that there's something that needs to be adjusted, they will figure it out there and then send it back here. But we're approving our city clerk to be able to perform what is in this document. And if they've approved what we're going to approve, and if they discover something else, it'll come back here.
Okay,
Yeah, and if it's less than, I believe it's within the mayor and my authority to approve something that's less than what you're approving. So, which is most likely the case. So I didn't even see it in the contract document. So it's not in there.
Expressly in there. Just
So it's something, we'll get it
How it's
figured out.
calculated,
But
yeah,
it's
calculated.
less than 42 miles.
Yes, I know, like, happening all the time.
That's.
unless they're going all the way around.
Right,
Hard to
Right.
say.
But that's, we'll figure that out.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Let's move on to staff reports. I do not see
He went to have cake.
Chief Alfano.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that?
He went to have cake with the swearing in of Hollenbeck. We talked about this at committee yesterday. Basically, there's not a lot of stats to report, but he will be working on stats, and the moral of the story right now is it's they're in the educational phase of this e-bike, e-motorbike, e-everything debacle. Is that what you kind of heard yesterday?
Yes, but the other thing I heard was in consultation with the city attorney, they'll be enforcing the e-motorcycle part
Correct.
under the revised code of Washington,
As-
which is a state statute.
As long as they're not going to chase kids that basically flee the scene either due to safety factors, but yeah, Councilmember Smith's correct.
Councilmember Wolfle.
Does anybody know, are we expecting to see some sort of a schedule for when they're going to have school meetings, or if that's still a topic?
We're
So
gonna
let's make sure
start in
that kids
Perkins
are-
Prairie.
We probably should. It is rampant.
Well, Perkins Prairie was talked
Yeah.
about yesterday and
Yes, it
in the
was.
meeting as well, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's important, but I want to make sure that like my kids are there and we're involved in that meeting as well.
yeah.
If it's a.
I'll note that, check in.
Okay.
Chris, would you also see if we have addresses for like HOA boards that we
Oh,
could
yeah,
maybe
we do.
send some piece of educational material
We
out
do.
to each of the HOAs and they can blast it out?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And if you guys do hold a meeting in Elkridge, if I can, I'd like to attend. As a representative, just be there and answer questions and stuff.
Okay.
Certainly no problem with that, Councilmember. Councilmember Burgess.
I just have a quick question as far as what is the difference between ride on shared use path and ride on non-motorized trail? Our trail going through town is non-motorized, correct? No motor vehicles?
Well, yeah, the definition of motor is
Yeah.
the question.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't have the answer to that.
So a shared use path, is that, that's not a sidewalk?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I will have to look into that right on shared use path.
Okay.
I will look into that and get you an answer.
Some of
to that.
them get to do it and some don't. I commented yesterday that I think that this is a very handy thing for everyone to have, you know, to help distinguish. I think that our police department has their work cut out for them, trying to figure out who's writing what, you know, but during our meeting, we saw some children on the sidewalk riding things that I don't believe they were supposed to be riding, especially on the sidewalk, and they were very young, so this will be handy for people to have to know who's doing what.
And I believe Chief said if correct me if I'm wrong, Councilmember Smith, that they're basically doing what I would do if I saw somebody with one of those and wanted to know what it was. They're typing it into Google and looking it up. That's really where we're at.
That's, you use your resources, because this is a phenomenon that is brand new in the last 18 months.
Mhm. I think this would be handy to give out to students at school so that they can take it home for parents too. So that parents can have a visual and then go through all the do's and don'ts.
Okay. Anything else?
Maybe we should send that out in a utility mailer.
Might be a good
Yeah,
idea.
I think that would be
Yeah.
a good idea.
I think we could probably maybe condense it a little
It's-
bit.
Yeah.
'cause
It's
pretty-
really
gonna
hard
be-
to condense, so we would have to really try
Yeah.
to condense it to put it in the mailer. 'Cause-
Yeah, well, we can work on that.
But
We can
yeah,
work on
it took a
Might not
lot
be
to get it on 11 by
Something,
17.
yeah, we can figure it out.
About the best.
The QR code stadium.
Yeah, because it was bigger than that. I had to squish it to fit on that.
Right, right. And then the utility bill won't fit in there.
Yeah.
Okay, City Administrator Banks, do you have anything else for us?
I don't have a lot to report. I will be on vacation next week. I'm going down to watch my daughter graduate from Grand Canyon University, so you won't see my face around here next week. Not that you always see it, but there is a development services meeting next Tuesday. We're gonna continue on with that meeting. Mr. Farnsworth and some public work staff will be there to help facilitate that meeting, so that's about all I have.
So just like a sub in your classroom, don't give Mr. Farnsworth a hard time.
Overdue. No, joking.
Okay, we're down to public comment again. If anyone has something they'd like to say. Mr. Sunstrom, I'm going to give you grace and give you your second trip to the podium.
His first one was under the public hearing, so it doesn't count.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Pete.
So my only comment is I'm looking for help getting the senior bus washed. If we could have like a subcommittee or something, some way to get it washed. It's a representation of the city, and I drive it one day a week to volunteer, and I struggle getting it washed.
Can you expand on that for me, Pete,
Yeah.
so that I understand what your question is?
Uh,
Are you saying it's difficult for you to wash it because you,
No, I
even
don't
if you-
wash it. It's difficult for me I've asked for it to be washed.
okay, okay. Does it fit in a car wash? I don't
No.
know. It does not.
No.
Okay,
No, go ahead.
Councilmember Smith.
On his request, I just happened to see something last night on Facebook. There is a group of young men
Yes.
who go to
Life.
Young Life
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
that are asking for work.
Mhm.
And I believe the lady's name that her and her husband facilitated for the high school kids is last name of Baker. And I believe my colleague's looking it up right now. They're looking for things to do. And that would be an outstanding community service item for those young men to do.
Councilmember Green.
Also on Bookface.
Yes.
I saw that the recruit academies in Forest are getting really good at washing rigs too. So a couple options right there.
Katie Walker is the one. that
Fire
posted.
Recruit Academy.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Mr. Sundstrom is on,
PIE?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know if you're on Facebook, but if you look up the Buckley, is it Buckley Community?
The Buckley Walk.
Buckley Walk.
Community.
Buckley Walk Community, they posted yesterday is a picture of all these young men. They're looking for stuff. If you can find it, you can contact Miss Walker.
Yeah, the senior center coordinator, Lori,
Lori.
had contacted the group, but then she was told that they can't have somebody come wash the bus because of the runoff.
The runoff.
You
Yeah.
have to take it to the car
Well,
wash.
I don't know who she was told that
Okay.
by, but we can make
Yeah.
accommodations for that.
Okay.
Right. Why don't, since that van belongs to the city, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then let's have City Administrator Banks reach out to Ms.
Yeah,
Baker.
And I'll
coordinate
apologize.
that.
Mr. Sundstrom's asked for this bus to be washed by city staff a couple times. And I told him that we would get it done, but we have employees falling off all over the place for various reasons. So we just honestly just haven't had the staff to do it. But if these young gentlemen are willing to do that, we will find a place for them to do it.
Awesome.
We're not worried about the runoff.
Okay,
So.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's it.
Appreciate it. Appreciate what you're doing for the seniors too. Okay, let's move on to council member comments and go to the order. Seeing none. Okay. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
No, that's where that one was. I had that one a couple of weeks ago.
It was like.